right, well, welcome back to Whiskey Wednesdays. We're glad to be back here at Kinfolk. What an awesome place. Couldn't pass up coming back here again. Pretty amazing place. So we've got
Rhett Schutze here with Lone People of Schutze Brothers team. And pretty happy that Kate decided to let us back.
Yes. Thank you, Kate, for not hunting us last time.
The local ghost.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a special guest today. We're very excited to have him here today. He's going to bring us up to speed on some whiskey, but also some barbecue and some different things. So, Ivan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Ivan Vires. I'm a native Austinite, born and raised in Austin. I now live in Leander, Texas with my wife and 2 daughters.
Good.
My wife is my high school sweetheart, and she also grew up in Austin. And so it's it's great being able to share all the history of Austin and all those memories with your wife. Let me tell you, it's just a great thing to do.
Absolutely. You know, there's not too many Austinites around, so to find one is pretty awesome.
Two in one place.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Fifth generation.
Yeah. They call us unicorns.
That's unicorns. That's right.
I mean, I'm not an Austinite, but I've been here for over 30 years, so I consider myself.
We tag you in.
I'm a native Texan. We'll say that.
Got here as soon as you could.
That's right. Houston did not want me, and I did not want Houston. So.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's kick it off with, of course, whiskey. So, Ivan, tell us a little bit about this one we got today.
Yeah, so we've got Eagle Rare on the table today. This is one of my favorites. I really like it. It's out of Frankfort, Kentucky, and it's I think a 40% alcohol by volume, 45% alcohol by volume, so it's not real hot.
Okay.
And it's done by Buffalo Trace Distilleries, is who makes Eagle Rare.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yep. All right.
I've heard a lot about this one. I'm excited to try this one because it came out and was about, I think it was at like a $40 price point, and all of a sudden it disappeared. And ever since then, it has stayed disappeared. Obviously, jumped up in price a little bit, for rightfully so. And I just haven't been able to find it. So I'm excited to give this one a taste.
Yeah, its namesake is rare, right?
Right.
So, for a reason.
Yeah,
let's give it a try.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, fellas.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like that.
I get it.
I get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
it's got a good kind of like a spice flavor to it almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit of orange flavor, maybe a little bit in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not really a bourbon that's gonna insult anybody, right?
No,
it kind of runs middle ground, and it's not real peaty, getting towards the Scotch side of things.
And it'd be a great intro to like a bourbon for somebody that's
absolutely.
like, I've never really been a big bourbon drinker. This is it. Get them
what's really crazy is that your second taste that you do of it is going to taste completely different than your first.
So what you're saying is we need to have a second.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Take a second drink of it. And you'll get a little more.
Yeah.
I do. I tasted the orange in that too.
Different flavor in it.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah, when you go into like a bourbon distillery, or they'll run you through like 3 or 4 tastes of it, and the first one you kind of take in, you kind of smell it, take a little sip of it, and kind of introduce it to your palate, because your palate will go into a little bit of shock.
Sure.
Right. And then once you get past it, you start drinking it a little more, and you'll start getting some different flavors out of it.
Oh,
yeah.
It's good to know. I mean, I can tell. I see exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
We need to go. So I don't know if y'all know this. You may know this. There's a whiskey trail that you can take. They've got one in Central Texas, one in South Texas, and I think later on in one of our other podcasts, we're going to have the gentleman that sets up all the festivals for the state of Texas, and he's set up the trails throughout Central Texas and all. And it's pretty cool to go out to all those distilleries. So we'll definitely have to do that.
I think he now does a barbecue trail.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Well, hey, I mean, if you compare those things together, that'd be sort of cool, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Realistically, there really are a lot of similarities between bourbon making and barbecue.
Yeah.
And they both based out of, especially for us in Central Texas, they really base out of oak.
Yeah.
When you think about it, because they're aging it in new oak barrels, they're charring them to get that smoke flavor into the barrel, right?
Absolutely.
And brisket and barbecue in Texas is the same way. So there are a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can figure out how to do something with whiskey and barbecue, and maybe do something in Leander.
Maybe throw some realty in there. What would that? What would you name something like that?
I know. I mean,
that sounds like a great idea.
That sounds like
whiskey,
pretty cool.
Realty. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's good.
Like that. So,
in case y'all didn't know, we're at Kinfolk. We are at a speakeasy, so it's actually underground. Cool place if you get the chance to come here. But if you're hearing a little bit of scratchiness, that's because there's some dining going on upstairs. So
Yeah,
just want to give you a heads up.
Or maybe it's Kate. Maybe she's
It is Kate.
There you go.
God,
Who knows?
did you leave the shot out?
Hey,
Did you leave her
I
shot
will
of
test
gin?
it and make sure that it's there on the way out.
If we do, yeah, exactly. And we'll take one with you on the way out.
Yeah,
Again.
absolutely, absolutely. But please leave us be, Kate. We'll be nice to you. You know, we'll make sure you have your shot of gin on the way out.
And again, you're welcome. Pop in if you'd like.
Absolutely.
So
Rhett, man, the last couple of weeks, I've got buyers coming to me left and right now. And, you know, it's great to have buyers. They're realizing that rates are sort of staying the same. They're trying to figure out, what can I do to get back in this market? I've waited for rates to come down. I've waited. Everybody said they're going to come down. And so, you know, our last week we talked about, you know, the rate buy downs and things like that. And so, you know, what should buyers, as they're getting ready to get into that market, what should they be, you know, working on? What should they be looking at? What are things that would help you help them?
Okay. Well, first I want to say, I want to jump into something that you should do before you even start applying, before you start looking. If you're even thinking in the next 6 months, you should do what's called, or go to the site called optoutprescreen.com. Right now, if you're not aware, when you pull credit, the credit bureaus are actually selling your information to other lenders.
Oh, wow.
So we have got horror stories of people getting 50, 100 calls the next day after we pull credit. And of course they look at us like, what did you do? Right. And it's not us. We don't sell information like that. And it is actually, you know, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion that are selling that. To me, I feel like it's, you know, predatory in a way. I mean, they shouldn't be a for-profit to me. Right. But, you know, they don't always ask my opinion. So
I hear you on that.
We've got people up there trying to fight it. But again, it is optoutprescreen.com. Go on there. I did it. It takes about 30 seconds. I actually applied for a mortgage a couple weeks ago and with my girlfriend, and she's getting the phone calls. I did the opt-out pre-screen, and I am not getting the phone calls. Okay. So do it as soon as possible, because it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for it to actually apply.
And what is that called again?
Optoutprescreen.com.
Optoutprescreen.com. So all my buyers will be doing that for you. So,
yeah. Outside of that, I mean, if you are getting serious about looking, the best thing you can do is get yourself in front of a lender. Okay. There's hundreds of programs. Really, there's thousands of different options. It's good to get that process started. Make sure you're qualified. It puts your mind at ease when you're going to look at houses. There's really not any reason to go look at $500,000 houses if if you qualify for $400,000. So spend that time, or also make sure you're doing a mortgage plan. If your goal is to stay around $3,500 payment, talk to your mortgage expert and have them help you figure out, what does that look like. That's going to put you in the right market. It's going to tell you where you can buy. You see this all the time, but like in Pflugerville compared to Hutto, the tax rate is almost 0.75% higher.
Right.
So that affects your payment.
Yeah.
It's good to know these things. Use your experts. Talk to your lender. Talk to your real estate expert so that they can figure out where are those places in those price points right now.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really good point. You can qualify someone for a $500,000 home, but what are you comfortable with as a mortgage payment?
Right.
You may only be, comfortable with a $300,000 price point because that's where your mortgage, needs to be. And so, and also something that you brought up too is your agent really needs to know what your property tax rate is going to be. I mean, because I can take you today anywhere from about 1.6% all the way up to 3% on a property tax. And as you know, that will really make a huge difference on that monthly mortgage payment. And so it's very important that your agent knows what that is, knows the areas. If you're looking at a particular area, hey, you need to be aware of that area may have a higher property tax rate, and so you don't get less of a house that way. Yeah. And so, is it something that you're wanting a much larger house? Well, then maybe we need to adjust where you're looking at, type of thing. So, I mean, a great example, I've got a client right now that they were looking out in Buda. Oh, yeah. The tax rate down there was almost 3%. And so now their house is much smaller because of that. And they weren't really, expecting that when we first started looking. So now, guess what? We're looking somewhere else besides Buda, But again, it depends on the area within the city, because you can have mud taxes, you can have what's called PIDs, which not all agents are familiar with PIDs. And there's a lot of different things that can go into creating a property tax. And so it's very important that we look, as agents, we look at those things.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, those MUDs and PIDs jump taxes way up. In an area where, every neighborhood or every area around it is 2.5%. It jumps it up to 3% in a lot of cases. It is crazy.
absolutely. And over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen a lot more MUDs in city. And now the new thing is PIDs. And unfortunately, PIDs are not well known in what, how they work. Luckily, I served on city council and dealt with a few PIDs, so I very much know how they work and understand what that impact has on my clients. And so it's important that you have that with your agent.
I'll have some questions for you on that later.
As someone who's not in the industry,
Yeah.
right? I'm sitting here thinking like I've got to go Google PIDs now.
Right.
Can you give us a 30-second of what PIDs is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, originally everybody's familiar with a MUD, right? You know what a MUD is. Well, a PID is, a new way for developers to get money back. So it's called a public improvement district. And what they do is they issue this debt out at the beginning to do things to a neighborhood that maybe you wouldn't find in every other neighborhood. And so then they take and they put an assessment on your property. And that assessment's typically either 30 or 40 years. And you'll get it when you go to close and you'll see what your assessment is. So usually it's, $30,000, $40,000, and then it's paid out every month. So you'll have an additional, say $100 or $200 on top of your monthly payment. Now it's included in your monthly payment, but if you move to another area that doesn't have a PID, you wouldn't have that additional payment. And so it goes with the house, so that's a little bit different than what you would have with a MUD. A MUD is a tax rate, and it's for everybody.
Right.
You could have a little bit different PID than Rhett does and that I do. They're all usually fairly close, but we always recommend if you have a PID, don't pay it off. And the reason for that is if you pay that 30 or 40,000 off, you help that next buyer. You're not helping yourself. Yeah. So unless you plan on living there for the entirety of that PID, just pay on what it is, and then when you go to sell it, that next buyer picks it up. So,
so you don't gain any equity by paying that PID off.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
Yeah,
right.
It's just money out of your pocket into someone else's pocket. So PIDs they're not always seen, especially if you go to. There are a lot in the new construction side. The salespeople there aren't as familiar with them because they're newer into the market, and so you really have to ask a lot of questions, and you have to be knowledgeable. The great thing is now there is a form that is required to say that there's a PID, and there didn't used to be that. And I actually had a buyer that we went in and on page 35 of their brochure out of 40 pages in this little bitty box that talked about PIDs. And so before we got to writing the contract, I let my clients know, and they were okay with it, but the salesperson didn't even know that there was a PID in there. And that's concerning, right? You need to be able to disclose as much information as you can.
Can you find that when you look it up on like the county appraisal district or the tax assessor site, or is it only something that's more like HOA, like you need to talk to like the neighborhood itself?
So a PID will show up that there is one, but it won't show up what that amount is because it is a little bit different for every one of them. And you get that in your disclosures whenever you close. So every time you close, even if it's new construction, and then, when you go do to resell, there will be a PID disclosure in there, and it'll tell you what is left. If you had 30,000 and you paid 10, this is 20,000, and this is what your payment plan is.
Oh, okay.
So in some markets, you could use it as a closing tool and say, "Hey, buy our house because our PID is paid down."
Hey, there you go.
Paid
Paid
off.
off,
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like we talked about before, of that competitive edge. Your agents knowing as much as you can about the home that they're selling and the area. Absolutely, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah,
it could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, any advantage to sell your house or buy the next one is a great tip. So
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I got a few things going on this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear them. Let's hear them.
I notated a couple, and this one's pretty cool, and I think it kind of fits the theme of where we're at in this Kinfolk. It's called the Roaring Twenties Immersive Circus Theater. It's at Fierce Whiskers. And what caught my attention is the way they described it. And I've got to read this because it's the debaucherous night of circus performance, cocktails, vendors, and rare 1920s music. And I'm like, that couldn't be any better.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably going to catch me there. You'll probably find Kate there, you know. I don't know how many, circus tricks. I can juggle, but I don't know how many other circus tricks I'll be involved in, but I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, that's pretty
You
cool.
got a couple
place.
days to learn.
Yeah, I know. We do. Yeah, we got a few days left. So, again, that one is at Fierce Whiskers. Look it up, get more details on that. And then I just found out about this, but Butler Pitch and Putt is doing from Thursday to Saturday. They're doing night golf.
What?
And so they have like glow in the dark pins, golf balls. It starts at 6. It goes till 9:30. I'm going to be getting out there.
Heck yeah.
I have to get out there and do that. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I saw pictures of it, and there's people in like those, like the bubble soccer.
Oh, yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And they've got them all glow in the dark, just kind of run around. So it seems like,
Nice.
again, this one seems like it could also be a little debaucherous. So.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I'm sure you guys that's where I learned to play golf.
Right.
And the fact that they've been able to maintain that, not have some big building come in and take over. I love that it's still there, and that's where my dad took me for my first round of golf, and I love going back there.
It's one of those few Austin gyms that are still around that are just not getting eaten up by the city and.
They fought hard to stay around.
Yeah, they've had some challenges.
About a year ago, they were fighting, had a couple-year fight going on to stick around. Which again, I mean, it was like maybe $6 or something to go play all day. It's like and that land has got to be extremely valuable.
Yeah.
So it's got to be tough for them to stay alive. I'm happy to see them. I've been to a few events there, and it is fun. I mean, it's, you take a pitching wedge and a sand wedge and a putter and beer.
Yeah, and they go practice putting at Peter Pan Golf.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. That's right.
That's too funny.
Maybe bounce a ball off the train that's cruising by. Maybe the street over. Number 3.
Yeah,
that's a good one. The last one I have is the citywide vintage garage sales going on. I'm kind of a big fan.
I was going to say another staple of Austin. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that one. They're doing it. They kind of do it once a month throughout the year, but that's going on this weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday. Go check it out. I know I'd be able to find half the things that I could ever possibly want in that place. So
if you've lived in Austin for more than like 6 months and you haven't been to one of the citywide garage sales, you're missing out. I mean, we've all talked about earlier. These two guys, they've been here all their lives. They're born and raised here. I got here from Houston as fast as I could. Been here for over 30 years, and I don't know how many times I've been over to citywide garage just to see the stuff that's out there. I mean, it's just amazing.
Just to walk around.
It's
well,
pretty
and
awesome.
it's nice because you drive through neighborhoods all day trying to find a garage sale, a yard sale, and it's like it's all right here. People just come and grab it from their yard and bring it right there in front of you.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, so we brought Ivan in, and Ivan shared a little bit of stuff with me that I find pretty fascinating. I love barbecue. My love for whiskey, my love for barbecue, I don't know that there's much more that I love between those two things, besides my kids. I do love them. So Ivan, you just had something this last weekend that happened that is pretty freaking impressive. So tell us what happened this last weekend.
Yeah, I went to this really not so well-known barbecue place here in town over on 11th and Branch on the east side of Austin called Franklin Barbecue.
Franklin's.
Yeah. I don't think any of us have heard that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was across the branch.
I had my 106th visit there.
Wow. That is impressive. That is impressive.
So they might give you a plaque or something that says "paid the electrical bill." Or
well, there is a plaque. It's on the wall when you go up to order at where the meat cutter is. If you look to your right, there's a plaque there that's got my name on it.
Oh, nice.
For the 100th Barbecued Club, and "cued" is spelled Q-U-E-Q, right? So it's spelled like a Q,
like
a line.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they did a nice little party for me on my 100th, and presented that plaque on the wall. And
that's pretty cool.
Aaron gave me a plaque to take home.
Wow. That's excellent.
Wow.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That is
great.
cool.
Thank you.
The
actually that 100th trip. So I got a plaque. They gave me a chair to sit in line in.
Okay.
It's embroidered with the barbecued logo and my name on it, which is really cool. But what they did that was a kind of a tearjerker for me was every time I go to Franklin Barbecue, I always stop at Round Rock Donuts and pick up 24 donuts for the staff, and I drop it off to them there.
That's a great idea.
And so they brought in like 20 dozen Round Rock Donuts and fed the entire line Round Rock Donuts.
Out of
That's
town.
awesome.
And when that was such a special moment for me, for them to acknowledge like the line and what I do for them whenever I come up there. And it was really a great moment, just a great day.
That's really cool.
Well, not to mention that Round Rock Donuts is a little bit easier now that it's in Cedar Park, right? On the way.
Very true, very true. And a Round Rock Donut on a smoker at Franklin for 11 minutes will take in quite a bit of smoke.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, we're going to have to try that.
Did you try it? Did you take a bite of it?
It took a few years, but we kind of narrowed it down to 11 minutes because anything under that doesn't get enough smoke. Anything over that, the glaze starts to melt off of it.
Wow. That's awesome. Hey, maybe we start selling Round Rock Donuts off the smoker.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you talking about the whiskey that we had here today, the Eagle Rare, and then sharing about the barbecue with us. And so,
absolutely.
Hopefully, we can get you back out on one of our other podcasts. Maybe get Aaron Franklin out here on one of our podcasts.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Right?
who knows?
At least some Smoky Donuts, Round Rock Donuts.
Exactly.
Nothing else.
Yeah. So, Rhett, do you have anything else for us today?
I think that's all I got. Optoutprescreen.com. Do it. Don't forget it. It's going to be a lifesaver for you.
You don't want all those extra phone calls, texts, emails, all that. I mean, we all get enough as it is anyways. So we don't need any more. So again, Jason and Sean, Whiskey Oak Realty Group.
Rhett Shootsy with the Shootsy Brothers at Lone People.
And our special guest, Ivan, here today. Thank you for joining us, Ivan. Gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, fellas. Salud.
Salud.